Hello there folks, my name is Spoonks and welcome back to another episode of Box Office Chat. This is the show where I break down the top 5 domestic box office results, see where each movie landed, and see how well each movie did. So let's get started. Number 5 was Jujutsu Kaisen 0 the movie, making $2 million this weekend, adding to a domestic total of $29 million and a worldwide total of $149 million. So this was a neat little surprise. To be honest, I wasn't really expecting this movie to hang around for another weekend in the top 5, given how drastic its drop-off last weekend was, but it was able to maintain a much better hold this weekend, falling 57%, which isn't terrible. It's not great by any means, but it's still a lot better than the 75% drop-off last weekend, and it's still doing very well despite a very limited release right now. I don't know how long it will remain in theaters. It's probably going to only be in theaters for a couple more weeks or so, maybe even a couple more days, I don't know. But this movie is still doing very well. It's about to crack 30 million domestically, which is about on par with Dragon Ball Super Broly from 2019's 32 million. It should surpass that for sure, and I think it might have a shot at getting closer to Demon Slayer's domestic total as well. And worldwide, it is still a huge juggernaut. This is just only contributing to the film's success. Again, I don't think we will probably see this movie again in the top 5, given its limited release and the numerous amounts of new movies hitting theaters for the rest of the month. But yeah, color me surprised. I'm actually quite impressed that this movie lasted as long as it did in the top 5. Number 4 was Uncharted, making $3.6 million this weekend, adding to a domestic total of $138 million and worldwide total of $372 million. Uncharted continues to hang on in there. It's amazing how popular and how well this movie has done over the past couple of weeks. This now puts its domestic total $6 million away from Pokemon Detective Pikachu's entire domestic total of $144 million, and $8 million behind Sonic the Hedgehog's entire domestic total of $146 million. It's, I think, going to surpass Pokemon Detective Pikachu and maybe even Sonic the Hedgehog, given or take the amount of weeks it has left in the top 5 or weeks it has left in general. It's just doing very well as of late in terms of video game movies. It's just been having really strong hold, strong word of mouth, and worldwide I don't think we will see any more really big movement for this movie, as the gap between this and Rampage, the third biggest video game movie worldwide, is quite large. But I think it might have a shot at getting to 400 million worldwide. We'll just have to wait and see. I know that seems like kind of a reach right now, but given how long it's been in the top 5, pretty much anything is possible with this movie. So yeah, this movie continues to do well. It's doing what many people thought it wouldn't and surpassed their expectations, although this upcoming weekend will be interesting because even though it's faced a lot of stiff competition in the past, I think it's safe to say that it'll be facing off its biggest form of competition this weekend with a certain other movie based off of a very popular video game franchise. More on that at the end of the video. But yeah, that movie is definitely going to steal a large majority of this film's audience, and it'll be really interesting to see how these two face off each other with the week. And don't be surprised if this movie starts to lose its luster after this upcoming weekend falling shorter than many of the films over the past couple weekends, because given where it's at and how much it's making thus far, it does seem like it's going to be on its way out of the top 5. But otherwise, once again, a huge surprise hit for a movie many people were intrigued by but didn't really have high hopes for, and what a run this movie had in the top 5 domestic box office. Not much more else to add, just job well done. Number 3 was The Batman, making $11 million this weekend, adding to a domestic total of $349 million and a worldwide total of $710 million. So The Batman continues to be a huge juggernaut at the box office right now. Domestically, it's about to surpass $350 million, and judging by the time this video comes out, it probably already has surpassed that milestone, so good job, Batman. But worldwide, it has already surpassed a different milestone. It has surpassed $700 million worldwide. That is fantastic. It's just such a big movie right now, doing so well. I believe it's about to surpass F9, the Fast Saga worldwide, which is impressive to say the least. And I also think it'll have enough in it to surpass No Time to Die, which again is really well done. Don't think it's going to surpass $1 billion given where it's at both domestically and worldwide. I do feel like this is going to be the point where it starts to slow down and the hype dies down a bit, but even if so, this is still a huge blockbuster right now. Obviously, it's the biggest movie domestically right now and will continue to be the biggest movie domestically for quite some time, and it's the biggest movie worldwide. We'll see what other movies that lie down ahead of us that manage to surpass it or get close to it, but it's Batman's world right now and we're just living it as it shows. Even though it's no longer the number one movie at the box office, it still has its foot in the top 5, and it looks like it'll continue to do that for the many weeks it has. So once again, another solid weekend for the Batman. Number 2 was The Lost City, making $14 million this weekend, adding to a domestic total of $54 million and a worldwide total of $61 million. So The Lost City continues to do very well. It had an adequate safe hold of 51%. That is the adequate moderate hold for any movie, around 55%, which is very good given the type of movie this is. We usually don't see movies like this anymore, and the fact that this movie is really resonating well with modern audiences is really solid, really strong indicator for how this movie is doing. And domestically, it is outpacing a lot of movies. It's about to surpass Jackass Forever, which I wasn't expecting in all honesty, and that puts its domestic total just $6 million away from Dog's entire domestic total of $60 million. So that's right, folks. Channing Tatum needs to watch out for Channing Tatum. And given where it's at worldwide and even domestically, I see no reason why this movie does not surpass its initial budget of $74 million, which again is really good indicator for where this movie is going, and I think it has a good shot of being profitable. All in all, just a very good total, a good weekend for The Lost City. Word of mouth is showing to be very strong. Many people are encouraging others to go see it, and it's providing to be very solid counter programming amongst the other blockbusters and big movies hitting theaters right now. And that's really impressive that this little rom adventure comedy is really doing well right now given everything that's out right now. So once again, good job, The Lost City. You continue to impress. And finally, let's end the video off with the number 1 movie of the weekend, and that was Morbius, opening with $39 million domestically and $84 million worldwide. So this opening was there are ways where this is considered disappointing and ways that this is considered satisfying. Ways this is disappointing is that, well, it's a big budgeted new, well, not really big budgeted, but we'll get to that later, but it's a new superhero comic book movie hitting theaters. This should have been a huge, much bigger opening weekend with stories upon stories and people cheering for this movie's huge opening, and it opened less than $40 million on its opening weekend, which is not a good indicator for where this movie is probably going to go. It came in way below many of the other Spider-Man Sony movies, especially Venom and the most recently Spider-Man No Way Home, and right now it's the lowest opening weekend for any live action Spider-Man movie. It just topped Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse's $35 million opening weekend by $4 million, and given the reception it got from critics and even audiences, it received a C+ on CinemaScore. We talked about how where if you receive something like a B or even a B-, that's considered something where you need to get worried. This is where you should get concerned, because even audiences are rather split on whether or not they really liked this movie, and I'm not sure this is going to be another instance like Uncharted where it continues to have strong word of mouth and strong legs that help it become a huge hit. I think this movie is probably gonna struggle a bit given how April is a very crowded month for blockbusters. However, there is a silver lining here, as the movie wasn't that expensive to make. Actually, it only costed 75 million to make, and given where it's at worldwide, it's already surpassed that, and it's guaranteed going to double that in the coming weeks. So while it's not a guaranteed blockbuster, it does show signs of at least being a decent hit. I think some factors that contributed to this film underperforming was one, the delays. It was just delayed so much. It got gratuitous at a point. It was supposed to come out in mid-July 2020, then in March, then in, I believe, the summer again. I really don't remember, but then I remember it was supposed to come out in October, then in January, then late January, and then finally last Friday. I felt like people just got tired of waiting, and then the reviews came out, and those were just horrible, including mine. Spoilers if you haven't seen my video, but if you haven't seen it, sorry, but I really didn't like it, and I think that really put off a lot of people. And also the fact that Morbius isn't really that well known of a character in the Spider-Verse, if you will. I don't really think the general public really knows a whole lot about Morbius. Don't really think he's as big of a name as something like the Green Goblin or Dr. Octopus in that sense. So yeah, there are ways where this opening is disappointing, but also ways where it is a good solid chance of an open. It's a mixed bag, basically. We'll see where it goes in the future. Will it have strong legs? Will it dive deep down in the coming weeks? I don't really know. It's Morbius, but it's gonna be something interesting, to say at the least, to see where this movie ends up going in terms of its box office run. But right now, it's off to a pretty mediocre start. And those are the top 5 domestic box office results for this weekend, but we're not quite done yet, as we got another week ahead of us and new movies hitting theaters. And this weekend we got a pretty big weekend for movies. We got 3 major releases. I know Everything Everywhere All at Once will also be releasing it this weekend, and that's one of the major releases. But given that it is an A24 film and the marketing hasn't been all that great in my opinion, the buzz is strong, but I do not really think this movie is going to have a monumental opening. I think it has enough to crack in the top 5, but it'll probably be on the lower end. Not disparaging the movie or anything, because I've heard amazing things, but I just don't think the movie's going to have a huge blockbuster opening. But as far as the other movies opening this weekend, there is Ambulance. This is a new Michael Bay R-rated action crime thriller hitting theaters, and I think this will be an interesting one to check out in terms of how much money it makes this weekend as well, because the marketing has been okay as far as I'm concerned. I've seen promos and ads for it. I mean, the studio also clearly has enough confidence in it, as they gave it a promo during the Super Bowl earlier this year as well, and reviews for it so far have been okay, actually. Many critics are liking it fine. It's not groundbreaking or amazing. It is a Michael Bay movie after all, but in terms of it being a Michael Bay movie, these reviews aren't as bad as one might have expected. The problem here, though, is the buzz. I am seeing very little to no buzz for this movie whatsoever. I barely know anyone who is talking about this or has even heard about this movie, and that's going to be a problem, given this is a gigantic, big, stupid, dumb, popcorn munching action R-rated blockbuster type movie. So this is definitely going to be something interesting. Will it have a huge opening? I'm not really sure. It's really going to have to depend on if audiences are really interested, and so far I'm not seeing that with this movie, so we'll see how it does. And the other big movie hitting theaters this weekend is Sonic the Hedgehog 2. Now, this is a movie I have high expectations for how it's going to do at the box office. I think this movie is going to have a very solid opening weekend. Not to the extent of The Batman, mind you, but we're going to definitely see something huge here. Given the marketing campaign has been spectacular, this movie has had some of the best marketing I have seen for a movie in a while. I can't remember the last time I've been so impressed by a movie's advertising campaign. the reception for the last film has also increased as the years went by. Despite critics being a little bit mixed and iffy on it, audiences have grown to love this movie. It's become one of the most beloved family films of the past couple years, and hype and buzz with this movie is very strong. People are excited to go check it out, and while reviews are in that similar category, I don't think that's really going to affect it, because, well, if you like the first one, chances are, from what I've read, likely that you are going to like this new one. I think it's going to have a very solid opening weekend. There's not really too much hurting this movie right now, and I think we're going to see something very special with this movie. But we'll see how well this movie does, as well as the rest of the movies that land in the top 5 on the next Box Office Chat. And that's going to do it for this week's episode of Box Office Chat. What did you all think of the results? Were you satisfied, unsatisfied? Comment down below and let me know. If you like this video, hit the like button. If you like this channel, hit the subscribe button. Follow me on all those social media links right there. And until next time, everyone, stay sharp.